واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولات الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا.
Como estoy seguro que la mayoría no entiende el sagrado idioma de Alá, el árabe, me veo en la penosa obligación de usar la traducción al castellano de García que dice, el periodo de espera para aquellas mujeres que hayan llegado a la menopausia, si tienen dudas sobre el término del periodo, o aquellas que no menstruan, es de 3 meses. En cambio, el de las embarazadas finalizará cuando den a luz. Sepan que a quien tenga temor de Dios, Él le facilitará sus asuntos. Los comentarios de los eruditos musulmanes nos dicen, ¿qué significa? Ibn Abbas y los 2 Jalalain nos dicen que, estas no han tenido menstruaciones porque son demasiado jóvenes, e Ibn Kasir nos dice que Ubay bin Ka'b preguntó por heridas de aquellas que son las jóvenes, y aquí verán a un erudito moderno explicando el verso.
If you look just at the Quran, you will get the indication that you can have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. The reason why it's haram to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old is not found in the Quran at all. If you just read the Quran, it is halal, it would be halal to have sexual intercourse with a 5-year-old. In Surah Al-Talaq, chapter 65, verse 4, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us who you can divorce and who you cannot divorce. And then he says, وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ وَاللَّائِ لَمْ يَحِدْنَ, and the ones who had never been pubescent before. And by the way, this is very important, yeah? I want all Muslims to be aware of this. The reason why we don't have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds or whatever is not because of puberty. Wait a minute, what did you say? It's not because of puberty, because that verse in the Quran actually says lam yahid. They never had puberty before. You can't go around that. The Quran doesn't say anywhere in the Quran that the woman has to be pubescent. I dare you to find one verse in the Quran where it says you're not allowed to marry someone based on harm, or you're not allowed to have sexual intercourse based on harm, or you're not allowed to marry someone based on puberty. So if you're Quran alone, you're allowed to have sexual intercourse with 5-year-olds. Get me one verse in the Quran which says the woman has to be pubescent. One verse. I want one verse in the Quran from the beginning of the book to the end of the book which says that she has to be pubescent. So okay, so that makes it halal from your perspective. From your perspective, it's halal. You know, in the Quran it says, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ. It says you're not allowed to marry your mum. It says you're not allowed to marry your sister, your auntie. Where does it say you're not allowed to marry a prepubescent? I'm looking for one verse that you can say, you pinpoint it and say, this is where it says prepubescent marriage or whatever is not allowed. So if you're Quran alone, you're steered towards pedophilia, and a severe type of pedophilia.
De Alá, acá Mahoma, se casó con Aisha bint Abu Bakr, una niña de 6 años y tuvo relaciones sexuales cuando la niña tenía 9 años y él tenía 53 años. Dices del sitio web sunna.com. En el Hadith 3894, podemos leer que Mahoma se comprometió con Aisha cuando ella tenía 6 años. La niña estaba jugando en un columpio con sus amigas cuando su madre la tomó para ser preparada para el matrimonio por las mujeres de los Ansari. Se casó con el profeta de Alá cuando ella tenía 9 años. En los hadices 5158, 5133 y 5134 encontramos que Mahoma escribió su contrato de matrimonio con Aisha cuando ella tenía 6 años, consumó su matrimonio cuando la niña tenía 9, y ella permaneció con él por 9 años. Si lo notó, lo único que cambian entre cada hadith es la persona que lo relata. Podemos concluir que Mahoma se comprometió, escribió su contrato de matrimonio con Aisha cuando ésta tenía 6 años, se casó con ella y consumó su matrimonio cuando ella tenía 9 años, y ella permaneció con él hasta su muerte, es decir, ella vivió con él por 9 años.
Mahoma se casó con Aisha, según se puede leer en la Sunna. En Sahih Muslim 1422a, 1422b y 1422c, en Sunan Ibn Majah 1876 y 1877, en Sunan An-Nasai 3255, 3256 y 3258, y finalmente en Sunan Abi Dawud 2121. Ahora, ¿cuáles son las implicaciones de esto? Es decir, ¿Cómo aplican estas enseñanzas los fieles musulmanes? Solo veremos algunos ejemplos.
مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
شو اسمك؟
محاسن.
قديش عمرك؟
هلا 10.
هلا عمرك 10 سنوات؟ بتروحي على المدرسة؟
لا.
انت بأي صف؟
أنا ثالث.
مين طلعك من المدرسة؟
خطيبي أحمد.
انت مخطوبة؟ قديش عمره أحمد؟
ما بعرف.
قدك؟
لا.
أحمد كبير أو صغير؟
طويل.
مساء الخير أحمد.
خير، مساء النور.
مين بتكون محاسن؟
خطيبتي.
قديش عمرك أحمد؟
أنا 25 سنة.
عمرك 25 سنة. ومحاسن عمرها 10 سنين. قديش كان عمرها لما تعرفت عليها؟
هي صار شي 8 سنين.
كان عمرها 8 سنين لما تعرفت عليها.
يعني هلا فيك تقول فايتة بال 11.
كيف تعرفت عليها؟
يعني في قربة بيناتنا.
في قرب بيناتكم.
ايه.
الزواج أين تم؟
الزواج بس لتكبر شوي.
يعني أين تم؟
شي سنة بس تصير هيك شوي كبيرة بالدرجة.
شو بيختلف من هلا عمر 10 سنين لبعد سنة؟ شو ممكن يختلف؟
اختلف كثير.
شو لفتك أحمد بطفلة عمرها 10 سنوات؟
أنا بيكفيني مربيها على إيدي وما بدي فلتها من إيدي.
شو يعني تربية على إيدك؟
انه بيكفي انه انا داير عليها ودير بالي عليها وحابها وحبتني ومتفقين مع بعض يعني على كل شيء.
طفلة عمرها 10 سنوات قاصر جسديا شو لفتك فيها؟
انا صار لي 3 سنين معها، عرفت علي كيف؟ حبيتها يعني حبتني.
سؤال، تعرف الزواج هي علاقة بين رجل ومرأة، هو تناغم فكري، تناغم عاطفي، ولكن أيضا علاقة جسدية وتناغم وانجذاب جسدي. شو اللي جذبك بطفلة قاصر عمرها 10 سنوات؟
يعني برجع بقول لك، قلت لك وحارجع اقول لك حبيتها وطلبتها من ابوها لانه انا ما تاخذني بالك الجيل هلا كله ما دخل بعقلي.
برجع بسأل سؤال، شو اللي بيلفت رجل راشد بجسد طفلة لم يكتمل نموه بعد؟ جسد طفلة ما في أي معلم أنثوي عن هذه الطفلة، عن كل الأطفال بهالعمر.
Wedding will be in the next 3 days. I was 11 years old, so I ran away. I was born in Yemen. There is no law protecting girls from child marriage in my country. My auntie got married when she was 14. She decided to end her life by burning herself. And after that happened, my family told my sister that she's gonna be married at the age of 13. She refused, and she did actually try to commit and she burned her body. But her life was saved. I knew that marriage will end my life.
When a woman has been made love to, so when a woman who has been made love to, in other words, you've had sex with her, she must perform the purificatory bath, okay? She must repeat this bath if two conditions exist. One, that she is not a child. So if she's not a child, she's to repeat the bath, but if she is a child, she doesn't have to. But rather, she's old enough to have sexual gratification. So it says here, if she's not a child and you've made love to her, she must repeat the bath. If she is a child, well, no need. Notice it states here, further, a full indemnity is paid for injuries which paralyze these members, or for injuring the peritoneal wall between the vagina and the rectum so they become one aperture. That's Reliance 04.13, Book of Justice, page 592. So understand, this is a common problem. We will see additional references to this. The adult male sexually assaults this child. Remember, infants are legal. Please understand, when I say infants, I mean this is legally defined in Islam as a baby in the cradle. When this happens, you tear the vagina to the anus, and it's called a fistula. And this is a toxic condition that will be with her for the rest of her life. It is horrific. And this is recognized as a problem within Islamic law. Sufficient that they had to pass rulings on it. And we have this law here, this ruling, this ijma, this consensus ruling on fourth. When a man has had sexual intercourse with a girl under the age of 9 years and has ruptured the part meaning he has torn her vagina open, it is unlawful for him to have further connection with her, but she is not released from her ties if connected with him by marriage or by slavery. This means that he has married her, she's under the age of 9, he has had sex with her, he has destroyed her private parts, and he may have sex with his slave girls, with minor slave girls. That's according to this law. If no rupture has taken place, the prohibition is not incurred according to the most valid opinion. So in other words, if you do the deed and nothing breaks, well, carry on.
Nuestros amigos musulmanes nos dirán entre enojados y tal vez sorprendidos, eso ya no se aplica, esto fue algo del pasado. Ahora el Islam ha evolucionado para arrojar luz sobre estas sabias respuestas. Veamos lo que dice un popular sitio islámico, Enseñanzas.
This is Islam QA, the world's most popular Islamic advice site, the world's most popular fatwa site. It gets up to 400 million visits a month. Now, this is the ruling, number 22442, on acting and the ruling on marrying young girls. It was published on the 30th of June, 2002. Let's have a look at what it says. So here's the question. What is the ruling on acting in movies, which we're not interested in? But the second question, why in Islam are you allowed to marry children, girls of age below 10, without their permission? A Muslim asks. And it says here, can you justify this ruling of Islamic child marriage? And of course, the answer is on the fatwa site, praise be to Allah. And he states here, second, marrying a young girl before she reaches the age of adolescence is permitted in the Sharia. Indeed, it was narrated that there was scholarly consensus on this point. This is the ijma, the absolute consensus of the scholars within the Sharia. So you can marry, right, before the age of adolescence. This is permitted in Sharia, and there is scholarly consensus. And then he quotes Quran 65:4. And those of your women as have passed the age of monthly courses, for them the iddah, the prescribed period, if you have doubt about their period, is 3 months. And for those who have no courses, i.e. they are still immature. In other words, they are prepubescent. Their iddah, prescribed period, is 3 months likewise. So now we have confirmation from the fatwa of these sheikhs on Islam QA that this verse means that these these children are immature. In this verse, we see that Allah has made the iddah in the case of divorce of a girl who does not have periods because she is young and has not yet reached puberty, 3 months. This indicates that Allah has made this a valid marriage. Then they quote the hadith. So you've got the Prophet married her when she was 6. He consummated the marriage with her when she was 9. That is narrated by Da'if Bukhari and Da'if Muslim. Da'if Bukhari 4840 and Da'if Muslim 1422. And then they continue. The Prophet married Aisha when she was 6 years old and consummated the marriage when she was 9. Narrated in Da'if Bukhari and Muslim. And Muslim says 7 years. Now, it says here, this does not mean that it is permissible to have intercourse with her. This is the question that we are going to resolve by looking in the Sharia. Remember, Islam has a doctrine of lying. It is permissible to lie if it keeps the peace, if it prevents tensions. So bear that in mind, please. Now, let's continue. If the husband and the guardian of the girl agree upon something, in other words, having sex with this girl, that will not cause harm to the young girl, then that may be done. Abu Ubaid said that once a girl reaches the age of 9, then the marriage may be consummated without her consent. Jay, I believe there's a word for having sex with someone without their consent.
That's called rape.
Yes, correct. And notice it says here, there is nothing in the hadith of Aisha to set an age limit or to forbid it in the case of a girl who is able to have sex before the age of 9. Now I'll pause here. This is the fatwa. We will now go to the Sharia. Any last comment before I continue, Jay?
Yeah, just so the viewers can understand why the 3-month wait is even for pubescent. I can understand those who are post-pubescent because then you'd want to make sure that there is no child there, that she's not pregnant. But if it's prepubescent, that means, and if she is a virgin, why do you have to wait 3 months?
To educate women from this heavenly ornament, the Bahishti Zevar. And this is also known as this book as the Jewels of Paradise, the heavenly ornament. It's a favorite with the people of the Indian subcontinent, as well as the Indian Muslim diaspora all over the world. That's on Wikipedia. And it calls itself a comprehensive handbook of fiqh, Islamic rituals and Islamic morals. Let's have a look at this moral sickness. Let's look at this rule here. If a person has sexual intercourse with a minor girl, ghusl, this is the purificatory bath, will not be obligatory upon her. But in order to get this minor girl into the habit, she should be made to bath. I will continue. If a woman is underage, but not so small that if one has intercourse with her, there is a fear of the vaginal tissues tearing to such an extent that the vagina and anus will virtually come together, then, by insertion of the glans of the penis into her vagina, ghusl will become fard on the man if he has reached the age of puberty. However, if there is the aforementioned fear in a very minor girl, they have now created another category. Minor girl, very minor girl, then mere insertion of the penis does not render purification obligatory. And I will add another rule here from this book. If a person whose testicles have been cut off inserts his penis into the back part of anyone, or the vagina of a woman, ghusl, now woman, they use this word and I use the word woman loosely, ghusl will be fard, obligatory, on both of them if both are mature. Alternatively, it will be obligatory on the one who is mature.